Lawn bowling is more than just a game. There's no talking on the green.
Genuine 1972 prices.
And nothing this soft. Just stick it right up.
From the wide outdoors to the great indoors. Welcome to Without Bias.
Apia, the go-to insurance for retirees. Call 13 50 50. Get set, go. Local legends wanted. A bowls green is just up the road. Search bowls clubs near me.
Hello everyone and welcome to Without Bias. What an exciting time it is. The World Championships have gotten underway today on the Gold Coast. A fantastic sight with a record number of countries participating after 7 years. The World Championships have returned. This is Without Bias for Bowls Australia. Local legends wanted. A bowls green is just up the road. Search bowls clubs near me. And Apia, the go-to insurance for retirees, called 13 50 50. Get set, go. On the program this week, we're going to speak with Barrie Lester, who's part of the commentary team at the World Bowls Championships. He's also a right-at-home Jackaroo. And we'll check in with the CEO of World Bowls, Neil Dalrymple, after the first day of the World Champs. So we'll start this week with Barrie Lester. He's a right-at-home Jackaroo. He is commentating on the World Bowls Championship, of course, and he is an Apia ambassador, proudly supporting Bowls Australia, and he joins us here on Without Bias. Barrie, welcome back to SEN.
Yeah, good to chat again.
It's the first day now, pretty much done and dusted. What's your overall takeaway from what we've seen for the opening day?
I think just a really good learning curve for all the athletes. It had sunshine, it had rain, some lightning. The conditions changed. We had some wind, and we had some upsets. So I think just a really big learning curve for all the athletes across the 5 venues. Just speaking to some of the players then that have competed at different venues today, all just sort of had different stories about how the greens ran, what weather conditions they had to put up with, and what their overview of some of the oppositions were like, because there's some countries competing here for the first time, and some players such as, like I was chatting to Aaron Sheriff and a couple others, they hadn't seen some of the players from those countries play before, and there was a lot of learnings to take away. So day one, probably just taking away some different experiences out of day one.
You're based out of Broadbeach today. How did the green play out of Broady?
Yeah, so they've got the 4 services, and they were all in action here at Broadbeach Bowls Club, and being situated right near the beach, generally you can expect some kind of southeaster breeze, which we started the day off with, and then it swirled around a little bit and calmed off, and then that's when the lightning and thunder came about. So that was a bit scary. Only a light shower, but no, the conditions are really good for the greens, because arguably these are the best greens in the world, and the amount of work and volunteering staff and all that have put into getting these greens up and running are great. So all 4 greens running around that 14 to 15 second mark, and really comfortable for the athletes.
What was your highlight on the green today?
Kelsey Cottrell, yeah. So Kelsey Cottrell skipped the women's 4s to a really big win against Canada, and Kelsey, over 500 games for Australia since she debuted back in 2005. Absolute gun, and a machine that just gets the job done time and time again for her country. And yeah, she played some huge clutch bowls when it mattered, when she was down on the head against Canada. And Kelsey, along with her 3 teammates, had a really hard-fought win against Canada, but some of those plays were unreal. And also the other one would be, I wasn't there to see it personally, but Aaron Sheriff played his 400th Test match today for Australia against Turkey.
The men's pairs team, they looked in ominous form, didn't they, with their wins over Thailand and England. What did you take out of that one most impressed you about Damien Delgado and Jimmy Reynolds?
Yeah, well, Damien Delgado last year picked up a silver medal at Birmingham in the Northern Hemisphere in conditions extremely different to what he played in today. And that's hats off to Damo, because to be able to play in multiple conditions when the greens are slow or the greens are fast, and he gets it done. Damo is bound to a wheelchair, and he's a para-athlete. And then you've got Jimmy, full of energy, up and down the green, skipping Damo, and they had 2 really solid wins. And yeah, Damo was rock solid up front, getting it done, setting Jimmy up, and Jimmy played some clutch conversions throughout the day to see them have a really good start to the tournament with 2 solid wins.
Ellen Ryan also started 2 from 2 in the women's singles. What most impressed you about her performance today?
Yeah, the thing I glanced over and saw a few of Ellen's games and some of her ends there. just the sort of the composure Ellen has now. She's starting to be one of the senior members of the team, coming off 2 Commonwealth Games, gold medals last year in Birmingham, and just looks really at home in what she's doing now, really comfortable. And I'm sure with more years to come, that'll get even easier for her. But yeah, just a real level of maturity and both performances today, just really tactical, good decision making and good play throughout the day.
If she's able to pull off the Com Games World Champs double, what does that mean for Australian bowls?
Yeah, it's verified air because only a couple of people have ever done that. And, as much as you want to play for your country and play your sport, such as lawn bowls at the highest level, the 2 highest events you can play in are World Championships and Commonwealth Games. And Ellen ticked that box last year, winning the 2 golds in her first Commonwealth Games. And if she can walk away with a world title over the next 2 weeks here, yeah, it's something that only a couple of people have been able to do. And yeah, I'm sure everyone's getting around her, especially in the singles discipline. And I reckon it's snuck into her mind at different stages too that it would be a pretty cool achievement to be able to do that. And, you look at Aaron Wilson, won the World Outdoor Pairs in 2016, the last World Championships with Brett Wilkie, and then he's picked up a couple of golds in the singles at Commonwealth Games level. So he's got that double, and it's a very hard achievement to get over the line.
Speaking with Barrie Lester, he's a right-at-home jackaroo. He's also part of the commentary team for the World Championships, and he is on the program thanks to Apia, the go-to insurance for retirees, called 135050. Get set, go. Aaron Wilson and Aaron Tees, tell us about their performance today. A fantastic start in the men's pairs.
Yeah, it's a pretty sort of fresh and new pairs combination. 2 really good mates. Aaron Wilson sort of had that skipping role in the pairs at the last few majors, and since they won in 2016, trying to back it up with another big win, either at Com Games level or World Champs, and they get that opportunity. He's just come off the Australian Open pairs win recently on the Gold Coast on these greens, and he's got Aaron Tees, who's just a solid performer up front for him. I saw them play the Argentina game this morning. Yeah, very, very solid. Both players in good form, and saw him just chuckling, having a bit of a laugh, and just enjoying the experience. And that's what I really like to see. No external pressures, just going out there, representing their country to their best ability and having a good time doing it. So I think from what I saw from them today, they're going to be very hard to beat and probably be one of the favourites moving forward in the event.
Where do you see the future for the women's four side? Do you think they can go all the way?
Yeah, I really think so. With the same thing with what I spoke about with Alan Ryan before, Christina Christie up front on the mat. Solid performance today. Dawn Heyman, she's a luxury in it too, backing up Christina. And then you've got all the experience of a 400-plus gamer in Lindsay and a 500-plus gamer in Kelsey. So it's a pretty strong four when you think about it. And, yeah, they were tested today against Canada. Hats off to them. They pushed them all the way. They came up with some big bowls when it mattered. But what I like, again, like I said earlier, is that Australia experienced what the game can throw at you today. A really hot team in Canada. They had the rain, the wind, the heat, and the varying conditions, and they experienced that day one. So a lot of learnings come from today moving into the event.
What about from the overseas contingent? Who caught your eye today on the green at Broadbeach?
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with Botswana. When I've played against personally Botswana a few times in the past, and to think how far they've travelled from and how large of a bowling network they have, it's not that big at all. So they really pushed some of the teams today. So that was one of the performers. Then you got our friends Norfolk Island just over the water there. Same thing. Some of their players I hadn't seen before, and I'm just noticing that some of those countries are going up a notch. But you look at Hong Kong now; they've got Australian coaches that have gone over there, former Australian players, etc. Malaysia. So some of those countries they're going forwards in leaps and bounds. Their governments are really invested in the sports and getting right behind bowls from a participation point of view and a high performance point of view. So I would have thought some of those countries I just mentioned, you never know, they might make the podium. And you only have to look at India last year. They got gold in the women's fours at Birmingham in the Commonwealth Games and silver in the men's fours. And a country like India with their population, you never know, there could be a big boom for lawn bowlers to come out of that country moving forward.
What are you most looking forward to tomorrow? Where are you going to be?
Yeah, I'm moving over to Helensvale tomorrow, Club Helensvale. So they're going through a bit of an upgrade with their facility. So looking forward to see how that's progressing. And I just want to, there's a young girl. She's actually Sri Lankan. probably, I think, in her sort of mid-30s. She lives in Australia and she's representing Sri Lanka, so I'm looking forward to seeing her perform, and a few other players from various countries. But the one country that I must admit I was sort of new to hear that they were playing in the event is Turkey. And unfortunately, the Turkey team had a bad loss to the Australian men's triples team today. But I'm trying to catch a glimpse of them over the next few days because they're apparently a team that's really trying to take bowls on and a country to take bowls on and move forward with the sport. So I'd love to see how they're developing throughout the tournament as well.
You're going to be on the mic throughout the entirety of the World Champs. Where can we hear you?
Yeah, that's right. No, make sure you jump onto Bowls Australia's website and YouTube and Facebook. That's where all the streaming. I think we got over at one stage over 2,000 viewers today, and comments from people all around the world. So we had people from Canada, Malaysia, America, all tuning in, saying it was 2 or 3 in the morning, but here they were up, supporting their fellow countrymen and getting behind them. So it's just great to see all that support worldwide for such a big worldwide event. It's been so long since the last World Championships due to COVID, and here we are. It's great to be back and seeing bowls at the highest level. Thanks
for joining us, Barrie. I'm sure we'll speak again throughout the World Champs.
Thanks very much.
Barrie Lester joining us here on Without Bias after the opening day of the World Bowls Championships. Stay with us. This is Without Bias, brought to you by Apia, proudly supporting Bowls Australia. And Bowls Australia, local legends wanted, search bowls clubs near me. More in a moment. Welcome back to Without Bias. It's now time to check in with the CEO of World Bowls himself. Neil Dalrymple is, of course, steering this event right through the return of the World Championships after 7 years, and I'm sure he's probably the proudest man in the land tonight. He joins us on Without Bias. Neil, welcome to SEN.
Thank you very much. Great to be on the show.
Is that a fair assessment? You're the proudest man in the country tonight after the first day?
Look, the sun was out, although we did have a few showers today. But no, it was fabulous to see all the people on the greens, obviously just all of the countries that were represented at this event. And yeah, it's been a long time in the making, and obviously 7 years since our last World Championship. So, yeah, the sun was certainly shining this morning, and it was great to see some world competition once again.
Were there a couple of moments today where you just had to stop for a second and it felt almost surreal that you're seeing this event in person and it actually come to life?
No, yeah, look, you're spot on there because there were moments like that for sure, because I think we've been, without this world competition, particularly a world championship, for such a long time. And this particular event, when I was working at Bowls Australia, obviously was involved in securing it. And so, yeah, it just feels like it's one of those events that was never going to happen. And, for us to come out and for it to start today, it was, very surreal, as you say.
So you've seen both sides of the equation. As you mentioned, you're involved with securing the event while you're still with Bowls Australia, and now you're involved in executing the event, obviously, as the CEO of World Bowls. On both sides of it, how big of an achievement really is this to have gotten to this point and to get this event up and running after such a long recess?
No, look, it is. There's a hell of a lot of work that goes into it. Obviously, from way back when we were putting together the bid documents into World Bowls, then securing the funding, and I mean, I'd hate to think how many hours goes into it. And then, in the last few years, obviously having to make decisions around postponing, suspending, and just all the scenarios that come about. What we experienced during COVID, obviously, in terms of suspending some of the events and the impact on the countries and the preparation. And, I think, look, it was great to see so many smiling faces out there, so many young faces and countries being represented that, just don't get a lot of international bowls competition. So, all in all, lots of colour and movement, and it was great to see.
How do you see this event going forward now in a post-pandemic world? Hopefully this gives people the confidence that this can be staged again, and obviously other countries as well, to be able to take this on. What do you see the future of this event looking like over the next, let's say, 5 years?
Yeah, well, the appetite's there from the countries. I mean, we've got a record number of countries with 44 of the 57 member countries participating in the event. We've got the para bowlers joining with the able bowlers. So there's certainly lots of movement out there on the green. the future, at the moment, the view of the board of World Bowls is that we run it every 2 years. So the next event is scheduled for Hong Kong in 2025. And look, again, it's a bit like, dare I say, the Commonwealth Games. I mean, we need the appetite from the countries to host these events. And as we've said just before, there's a lot of work goes into them. So whether that 2-year cycle is right or do we go back to a 4-year cycle, I suppose that's a question for the future. Right now, I think given what we're facing in terms of we want this international competition, it gives us a really strong asset to promote the sport globally and try and develop the sport of bowls in smaller countries and even attract new countries. Then having it every 2 years probably makes some good sense right now.
Can you sense that appetite growing for the World Championships now that over the next few weeks as well, you'd hope to see that would grow now that people can come here and see it for themselves and see what benefits they could take away?
For sure, and it's a good question because a lot of countries are, they're a little bit less fortunate than Australia because we are lucky that we've got state governments, we've got a federal government that has a strong interest and appetite for events and being able to fund events through the likes of Tourism Events Queensland and major events Gold Coast. So we're lucky in Australia that we have these. Other countries are less fortunate to have that support from their governments and just have that appetite for world events. So yeah, there's certainly some work for me to do so that we can actually take this event around the world, because I think staging it in different countries is really important in the future and being able to showcase the sport of bowls, particularly as we've got Olympic aspirations and Paralympic aspirations, and we need to be seen to be a global sport. So yeah, a lot of work ahead for me for sure.
From an Australian point of view and from a World Championships point of view, is there appetite from other state governments to maybe host this event in the future after seeing what the Gold Coast is producing?
Yeah, I think the answer to that is, I think yes, because with 44 countries and the number of athletes that are here and support staff and spectators, the economic impact is big and is large. So yeah, there's the investment that a state government might make in an event like this will be returned, 5 and 6-fold in terms of economic impact. So yeah, a lot of money's being spent on the Gold Coast by bowlers here at restaurants, at hotels. They've travelled to get here, so it's I think it's a huge opportunity for another state to pick this event up into the future.
We've got Neil Dalrymple joining us. He's the CEO of World Bowls, and of course, you just mentioned the Gold Coast. It really is the hub for bowls in Australia by and large. Tell us about why this is such an ideal setting for this return of the event.
Good question, because I stood there and sat there today and watched the venues and visited some of the venues, and I look up and see the sun shining, and then I see the hype and activity on the Gold Coast, the people that are living here now, and we look at the Gold Coast as it's almost a city now. It's a large location where there's a lot of hype and activity, and of course, probably the key for bowls is that we've got these wonderful bowls clubs that are restaurants, they're entertainment venues, and they have wonderful facilities for bowls when it comes to the actual sport. The greens are superb. I talked to a few of the international players today, and I said, "Oh, do you find the greens a bit too quick for you?" But no, they just said these are beautiful greens to play on. So, and look, location-wise, I mean, geographically, it's not far for people to move around the Gold Coast reasonably efficiently through, whether it be driving or the light rail, so or a bus. It's you can get around quite well. So look, a lot of things that make a big event and a strong event. You tick the boxes here on the Gold Coast, there's no doubt. And as I say, the facilities that are offered are superb.
Tell us about the para inclusion in this event for the first time and the work that's gone into making this a reality.
Yeah, and look, I think bowls is a sport that is very inclusive of age, of ability, and we saw at the 2018 Commonwealth Games here on the Gold Coast the success of integrating para bowls and para bowlers playing on the same green as able bowlers, and I think it's just a fantastic way to showcase the sport, and if you watch these people bowl, they are superb bowlers. They hold their own in whether you're with a disability or not. They can hold their own on any green, and it's great to see. And the support from a lot of the countries who are participating is terrific. And it's just an added benefit. Not too many sports can say that you can run a major world championship, which includes the para and the able and open bowlers. So it's a real kudos for our sport.
Well, Neil, congratulations on the work that you've done both at Bowls Australia and at World Bowls for getting this up and running, and we're looking forward to what's ahead of us over the next couple of weeks and into the future. Congratulations on getting it back up and running.
Cheers, and thanks for the support, and SEN are wonderful supporters of Bowls. So, it's great to be on the show tonight.
Neil Dalrymple joining us here on Without Bias, the CEO of World Bowls. And a big congratulations as well goes to our right-at-home player of the week, Para Jackaroo Jimmy Reynolds, for his performance on day one of the World Championships. The right care, right at home, improving the quality of life for those we serve. That's it for the program this week. Make sure you get along and check out the World Bowls Championships if you're on the Gold Coast, or you can also tune in online as well through the Bowls Australia website. We'll be back next week with another edition of Without Bowls. Thanks for joining me. Have a great week.